This right here definitely isn't medicine, but it will put a smile on your face. Let me show you how to make a whiskey cure-all. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a whiskey cure-all, which while it might not actually cure you, it is definitely a throwback to some of those old styles of medicine, which would basically just combine some booze, some herbs, and then hope you feel a bit better after you drink it. I got the inspiration for this recipe from a cocktail bar here in Dublin called Bar 1661. A while back they did a collaboration with this brand here, JJ Corrry, and they kind of made this kind of cocktail which they called a cure-all, which was a throwback to the medicine. It used this whiskey right here, the Hansen from JJ Corrry, which is a blend of grain whiskey, so it's a nice kind of smooth, sweet kind of base upon which you can build a lot of other flavors. It does come in at 46%, so it has a nice bit of weight, and if you do want to see the review of this whiskey here, you can check out a link up there. There'll be a link also down below where myself and my better half Rose just reviewed this whiskey earlier this week, so you can check out what that whiskey is like. But we're here today to talk about a cocktail. This cocktail has some nice herbal notes and herbal flavors that do complement the flavors in the JJ Corrry, the Hansen. It uses a bit of Elderflower Liqueur, which is nice and sweet, but also has a nice bit of kind of botanical note to it. Use some Aperol, which is again like a sweeter version of Campari. It's not as bitter, it's not as kind of hard hitting. It does have a nice bit of kind of botanical in there as well, and it uses some lemon juice to give a bit of brightness and a bit of flavor to the cocktail. And that's enough talking about the cocktail. It's time to make it. It is going to be a shake and drink, so we're going to get our shaker tin and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice in there before we measure out the rest of our ingredients. We're going to start off with our whiskey with JJ Corrry's the Hansen. This is, like I said, a really nice, almost kind of like buttery, sweet, smooth, very full of vanilla flavored whiskey, but just a nice base upon which you can build some nice flavors. Speaking of flavors, we're going to go in next with our Elderflower Liqueur. We're going to go in with about 20 ml of our Elderflower Liqueur. It is nice and sweet. This one is from Liqueur de Monin, so it is an alcoholic liqueur, so it does come in at 20% ABV. So we're just going to go in with about 20 ml of this Elderflower Liqueur. It's going to give us some botanical notes, a nice bit of sweetness, and a little bit of extra booze. Should help us feel a little bit better. And lastly, we're going to go in with Aperol. Again, this is just a nice kind of semi-sweet, bitter Italian aperitif, but because it can be a bit overpowering sometimes, we're only going to go in with about 10 ml of Aperol, just to make sure we keep a nice balance to our cocktail without overpowering anything. Lastly, it's going to be our freshly squeezed lemon juice. If you can, always use freshly squeezed because it does make a big difference. We're going to go in with 30 ml or 1 ounce of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Nice and simple into there. But for one final little kind of twist, I do like the presentation of this cocktail when it has a bit of a foamy head on it, but I don't want to add an egg white to it because it does change the flavor a little bit. So I'll be using this. This is fee foam. It adds a nice bit of kind of foam to a cocktail without impacting on the flavor or adding a lot of extra liquid. So we're going to go in with 3 dashes of fee foam. Should give us a nice head of foam on the top of our cocktail when we shake it out. So we're going to bang the top on, shake it away for about 30 seconds. Okay, I think that is nicely chilled now. So we're going to bang the top off our cocktail shaker and we're going to get ready to strain it out into a nice chilled coupe glass. We're just going to go nice and simple. There's no pulp or anything in there, so it just should be a nice simple presentation. You'll see from that Aperol, we have gotten a kind of a nice, almost pink color to the cocktail. And with that fee foam, we are going to get a very nice head of foam that will just slowly develop in the cocktail while we wait for that foam to kind of even out up top. If you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews like the review of the Hansen. Every Wednesday, we put out whiskey cocktails featuring, well, whiskey every Friday. So if you want to see more like that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and while you're down there, let us know what kind of cocktails you think we should make in future. But for a final little garnish on this one, you can get a little piece of lemon peel, express the oils over the top, and just give that a little bit of extra citrus to complement all those botanical notes. And that right there is how I make a whiskey cure-all. Now that's about as settled as it's gonna get, so let's taste this whiskey cure-all. Cheers. That's really nice. Like I said, it has this kind of like botanical note to it with the elderflower, with the Aperol. You get this kind of herbal botanical note, but it's not overpowering. The nice amount of sweetness you get in the whiskey, the sweetness from the Aperol and from the elderflower liqueur, as well as the kind of natural sweetness you get from a lemon, helps it prevent it from being kind of too bittery. I'm glad I didn't use any Angostura or any of those aromatic bitters, because there's enough flavor coming from those herbal ingredients to really give you a nice base of flavor. It doesn't really taste like any medicine. Like, it might have the color of maybe some like cough syrups, but it definitely does taste like a nice little cocktail. Just nicely kind of balanced, bit of herbal, bit of sweetness, and it's just a very good kind of like easygoing cocktail. It wouldn't necessarily be an after dinner cocktail or a before dinner cocktail, just when you're looking for something kind of familiar, kind of similar to some other cocktails you've had, kind of like almost like a whiskey sour meets a boulevardier, but very nice, very tasty, and definitely one to try out. But I'm going to keep on enjoying this, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.